A few weeks ago, I had a video out on a planned scrappy beanie, and in that video I mentioned it is hard for me to do like truly random. So I've got another type of video very similar to that. I have seen so many beautiful Scrapghans out there. My friend Kristen at Kristen Crochets has done some, and I know Ginger the Yarn Geek has done some. Those are just the first two coming to my mind. I'm sure there's lots of them out there, but I'm going to be honest, I have such a hard time with random. So I'm going to talk to you today about a planned Scrapghan, and the one I'm working on is red, green, and white. It is going to be for Christmas time, but you could do this for literally any holiday or any decor colors, just whatever yarn colorways kind of tickle your fancy. So if that is something you are interested in, please stick around. Worst looking whip bag you've ever seen. All right, so here is my Christmas colored planned Scrapghan at this moment. I think this is probably about 2.5 feet across, and I am still connected. This is not finished, but I wanted to take this time now in case you wanted a little bit of like Christmas colored inspiration. When I am filming this, this is one of the very last few days of October. So that really just gives you November if you want to stick it out, you know, December 1st, or if you're one of those people that literally takes down your Halloween decorations and puts out Christmas, you will want to get started on this quickly. But again, this could be done with literally any color scheme imaginable. The first thing I want to address, though, is the type of stitch this is. I am doing a really basic granny to infinity, and if you are not familiar with this, I absolutely love this particular, I don't know if you'd call it a stitch or a pattern or whatever, especially, well, for two reasons. So if you are a beginner, this is great because there is not a lot of counting. You know, you're literally just counting in multiples of 3. You can eyeball and see if you have missed a spot or added extra or whatever. The other circumstance that this is great for is when you don't really know how much yarn you have or how big you want it to be. Like, you can literally just tie off, you know, at any point as soon as you get to your starting point. So, you know, you might be like, you know, have grand ideas when you begin that it's going to fit your king size bed, but then you decide, oh, I guess this is a baby blanket instead, just because you want to be done with it. I really do I like this idea in a Scrapghan more so than just by going row by row, because you are definitely limited in that aspect where, you know, you've got your horizontal rows and you need it to be certain dimensions where you got to keep going until it gets there. Like I said, you can literally just stop anywhere. If you are not familiar, you do just start in the very center with a granny square and keep going as it multiplies on the outside. So this is going to be pretty heavy. Let me show you the yarn I have been using. You may have heard me talk about how much I love Herrschner's Afghan yarn. I did a video recently where I just challenged everyone to let me know if they only had $20 in their pocket to buy yarn with, what would they buy? And for me, I said I would buy 10 Herrschner's Afghan yarns because they're amazing. And if you want to watch that video for all the reasons, you can definitely do that. But in the video, I did mention that the Afghan yarns used to be bad. They used to be bad. And they have been discontinued. And when they did, I bought a package of these, what is this called? This is Victorian Christmas. And as you can see, it is the old packaging with the little color blocks. Oops, the little color blocks there on top. It's 100% acrylic. It's 2 ounces, 220 yards. Machine wash, dry flat, made in China. It is a fine to weight. They were discontinuing all these old ones. I got a package of 10, I believe, for like $7.90 or something like that. So it basically worked out that these balls were like 79 cents a piece. So I did buy one package of that, and I will not be going through the entire package at all for this. I can use them in future projects. I just thought it would be a good way of getting some good Christmas yarn. So I'm using these. I had also been gifted from my friend I mentioned before. It was a lot of other Afghan yarns, and it looks like I'm looking at possibly the color olive that I have used in this. I've got a bunch of little tags here, off-white, and then I have also been using this I Love This yarn. It is in the color, let me look, I have got just labels falling everywhere. So this is I Love This yarn in the color Cranberry. I'm not sure if this is available or not. This was back when I Love This yarn cost $2.79, and they didn't have it printed on there. So I think this is a little bit older. But what I have been doing is I have been holding multiple strands of this together. On the row I am currently on right now, let me turn this. I have got one strand of the off-white. Actually, I have got two strands of off-white, one strand of the Victorian Christmas, and one strand of the Cranberry. So this Cranberry, the 4-weight yarn, I have used completely through the entire piece. Like I said, I wanted this to be bulky. I wanted it to be very, very cozy. Looks like I have it, I'm showing you the back side unintentionally with all of my tie-offs. So that the tie-offs are the one bad thing about this, but it should be fine. So I have been using the 4-weight through the entire blanket and then 3 other strands. And I have just always used at least one strand of Victorian Christmas. So those two have remained the same, but then I have also just varied a strand of, I didn't see the label, but just the red in the Afghan yarn and the olive and the white. And I just kind of randomly switch those out. So in this project, you know, I had the same olive, off-white, red, Cranberry, and Victorian Christmas. So I had those same 5 yarns, but just use them in different ratios as I have gone out. And for me, again, like I said, it's just the not being random thing. But I did, like you can see, I did 3 rows here that are pretty dominant in the white. Here's 3 that are more dominant in the red. So I was just kind of going in like those groups of 3 and switching out some of those colors when I hit my starting point. So, I mean, yes, you could definitely just go when your yarn runs out, it runs out. You could definitely do that, but I still like a little bit more less random. If that makes sense. Just because I visually just like that. It's less chaotic for me, but I think the colors all flow very, very well in this. So one thing I do want to say is you do want to make sure that your weights are going to be the same in all your rows. Otherwise, you're going to have issues with it being smaller and larger in some places, and then your square won't end up being a square. It'll end up a little bit wonky, you know, tighter and looser in places. For me, I would just want to have it like the same thickness throughout. And the other thing I would encourage you to look at while you're doing a project like this too, is to make sure that your yarns have very similar washing instructions. I had someone tell me once that in a blanket they did, where they had paired a couple yarns together, they threw it in the wash before gifting it to someone, and one of the yarns like shrunk up on them. And I'm not sure what all the details were, like what yarn it was, or if they put it in the dryer, or what the washing instructions are. But they did tell me that it had a pretty disastrous effect, and they ended up having to gift a different gift. You do want to make sure that, especially if you're gifting this to someone and you won't have control over the washing, that it is very, very similar yarns, so that, yeah, you don't have shrinkage of one and not another. I'll go ahead and bring this up close here if you would like. I don't want to unravel. I'll bring this up close here a little bit, and you can kind of see the variations. Some parts are a little bit more pepperminty. But I think this is a super fun, very like casual, very just relaxed project to work on. I've just kind of been working on this off and on the past couple months, but I did, like I said, I did want to get it out in case that you just needed a little holiday inspiration and wanted to get started on a nice, easy project. Speaking of granny stitches, here is the very first hexagon cardie I made, and I have a couple videos where I had taken this to the fair. I can have those linked. I did also recently put out a video where I made some different modifications on a newer hexagon cardie I made to fit a more mid or plus size body, and how much I like those better. So I will have that video available too if you're interested in watching that. But I am going to keep this short and sweet today. There isn't much else I can say about this blanket. Just what I've said before. It's a granny to infinity. I am holding multiple strands of yarn together, and I am switching them out as I go. So it is very scrappy. It is very varied. Very varied. You know what I'm trying to say. But it still has that general cohesiveness to it where it all just blends and melds together and does not look as random. Are you like me? Like, do you need controlled chaos, or are you just like bring on complete chaos? I would love to know. I do also have a question if you don't mind answering me, and I'll probably put it in maybe in the community section as well. Do you struggle finding color inspiration, like color combinations? Is that something you would like to see kind of my thoughts on? I am certainly not the end all be all on that, but I do have a couple techniques for finding color inspiration and pairing them together if that's something you are interested in. If not, I don't want to waste my time or your time. But for now, I want you to have a great day, and thank you as always for talking yarn with me. Bye guys.